questions about my audition at Berklee, and I haven't seen too many videos up specifically about the piano audition. So I've seen lots of guitar and lots of voice, but not really any piano. So I thought I would give you guys a 101 of how the audition goes down. So I had the audition in Baltimore, drove up 6 hours. Woo! Anyway, I'd suggest getting there early, obviously. Get the jitters out. Once they actually take you in there, they're very nice, by the way. They take you into a practice room, and they give you about 4 or 5 different sight reading pieces. The first page was, they're just like 8 to 12 measures each. The first page was just simple sight reading pieces. They weren't too bad, and this is coming from a guy who's not the greatest sight reader in the world. Trust me when I say this. So they're actually not all that bad. And then the second page is more jazz-styled sight reading. So it's more, the second page was more just fun sight reading to read through. And at first when I looked at it, I went, oh crap. How am I going to learn this in time? But no, don't worry about it. What ended up happening was mainly just comping was the main idea behind it, because they had the names of the chords above it, above the melody. So, I mean, they could have been something like A minor 7th, G7, I don't know, F7, and back to C. Alright, anyway. So you get about 15 minutes to do that, and whatever else you want to do when you're in there. If you want to run your pieces, feel free to, or just do your own normal warm-up that you normally do. But then they came in after the 15 minutes and took me upstairs to go and do the audition. When I went in, there were 2 judges, roughly, I don't know, mid-40s. They were both professors at the school, and they were both really nice and very laid back. And of course, at the beginning of the audition, I was rather nervous because wanting to get into Berklee really bad. So sat down and started out with Prelude, Angry Young Man. If you haven't seen it, you should. I definitely suggest the song. And I played it really, really, really well. It went over well with the judges. And afterwards, I requested to do a second song, and they don't normally let you do it, from what I've heard. But I told them that I've clocked both of the pieces to 5 minutes and 30 seconds, so they let me do my own personal composition, which I did alright on. It wasn't my best run, but my first piece definitely made up for it because I played it really well. So then, at this point, the judges were really into what I was doing. And so next, they asked if I've done any jazz piano before, and I've dabbled, but I haven't done too crazy much. So I played on top of a CD track of a jazz piece it was in C. They asked me which key I was most comfortable playing jazz in. They were rather laid back about it. I'm not sure if they ask you what key that you would like to do at every audition, so just be prepared to play it in the keys that are up on the Berklee website, because they're all up there. So I played through that, did comping with both hands, and then they asked me to do it with just one hand. Had lots of fun with that. And after that, we did call and response with rhythms as well as notes within the same scale that we did. So just like your C jazz scale, they'd sing something and play it back. Just basic ear training, really. And after that, they asked me to play different chords. I was rather surprised because they didn't ask for scales, but So then, finally, after that was the sight reading. I actually did all right. I was pretty happy with how I did in sight reading wise, and because like I said earlier, it really wasn't that bad, and it went over really well as to what I did as a whole. In the audition, they were smiling. They were really laid back and having a good time. So don't get too nervous, because there's no need to be, because the audition's just really laid back, and it's supposed to be, especially for Berklee's, because it's just a fun audition. Out of all the auditions that I've done, that one's the most fun, and really enjoyed it. So after the piano playing part of the audition, I went back downstairs and did the interview with one of the people who works in the Berklee administration office, and they'll ask you a series of questions about, what are your 5 strengths as a musician, what's your weakness as a musician, what's the reason that you want to come to Berklee, if somebody wrote an article about you as a musician and a person, what would they say, to describe yourself in a couple of different words. Just very casual conversation. What ended up happening with me and my interviewer was just a really just laid back conversation that you would have with somebody on a regular day basis. And it really wasn't that bad. It was really relaxed, and the time flew by, so by the time we were done, it was just that moment of, wait, we're done? So, I mean, that's the audition. It's everything that you think it is, but without the pressure. So, really, my advice, other than just have your pieces prepared and giving you a walkthrough of the audition itself, just have fun, because it's a blast.